everyone, it's Kat from Cat Stitch here in New Zealand, coming to you live on Saturday the, I don't know, it's about the 7th, 8th, 9th, 7th September. Flosstube number 45? See, I was going to sound really confident then and I wasn't quite sure. But welcome along anyway. For those that are coming for the first time, thanks very much for clicking play and joining me. It's usually a train wreck, but you know, we get there in the end. This is Shadow Monkey, who is making himself plainly obvious that he's in the vicinity. Bobby's down on the floor, just wondering how long is this going to go on for. Anyway, if you like what you see, and you get past all this confusion at the beginning and most of the way through, please subscribe, like, do all the things, leave comments. I love getting comments. I really do. They really make me feel good. So okay, and for those that are coming back again, thank you guys very much for sticking by me and watching again. I'm feeling a lot better this week. Yay! Well, you know, no cold, bug, slight bit of cough and stuff, but it's all cleared. So that side of me, brilliant. Mentally I'm screwed up, but you know, that's just life. Anyway, so today, what am I doing today? I really was struggling to stitch over the last couple of weeks and I wasn't sure if I was going to do a floss tube this week. And then Laura from Stitching by the Shore last weekend was doing a WIP Frenzy. And she wanted to put, like, you know, 100 to 200 stitches on as many of her WIPs as possible. And I thought, oh, that's a really good idea. But I was doing a test stitch, which I was struggling with because of other reasons, not because of the chart or anything like that. It was just how I was at the time. So I couldn't really do that. And I decided, oh, you know what? You know, joys of cross stitch, you make your own rules. Do it your way. So my thought was, I'm going to do a WIP Frenzy Wednesday to Friday. So it's almost like, you know, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to be doing it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I mean, I actually think I'm going to do that at the start of every month, because, and the only reason I say that is quite a few of the WIPs that I worked on, I'd pick up and put straight back down without putting any stitches in, and it might be months before a stitch has been in it. One of them I've touched for the first time this year, and here we are in October, you know. So it's, you know, it wasn't going to get very far if I wasn't touching it. So I thought, you know what, I'm actually going to spend 3 days at the start of every month having a WIP Frenzy, so that every single one of my WIPs gets something done on it at least that month. And then the rest of the month I can, you know, do new starts or, you know, little challenge ones that I'll be doing and that sort of thing, which is what I'll be doing this month. So I even got out my flatmate's iron. I did. I got his iron out, and because he's got a real iron. Mine's a little kid one, but he's got a real iron, and I ironed my WIPs last night. And then I remembered just before I filmed, oh, is it finished? So there's one that's not iron. Please forgive me for that one, but it was a finish. Okay, so I'm just going to go through, and it's also the other good thing about the WIP Frenzy is that it's actually let me know how close to a finish some of these actually are. And why don't I just pull them out and finish the dang things instead of leaving them in the WIP pile? So some of them are going to get put aside to be focused on this month to get finished. It's something that you know, I wasn't putting any stress on myself. There were 2-3 WIPs that I didn't touch, but that's okay. You know, I'll get to them, but I'm going to focus on the ones I've done, because there's a few in here that I possibly could finish this month. So I'm going to focus on that. Okay, so the first one, which I think is going to be a focus finish this month, is Chester's Place by Whistlestop Designs. this is the one where I did all that that frogging, unstitching is frogging, of all the words and part of the colour of the roof, because I didn't like the colour after I'd done it all. And then I restitched it. And I thought I was still quite a way. I thought, you know, I still, you know, because I'd done the house, which was the biggest part, but I thought I still had quite a way to go. Doing the WIP Frenzy, I realised, actually, I've only got maybe 1,500 stitches left. I can knock that out in a couple of nights, you know. So this is staying out. But this is, when I picked it up for WIP Frenzy, this is where I was. And then I found my board. Where'd I put it? There it is. Here we are. So I got down to the bottom and came across, and this is always the most nerve-wracking. Yes, excuse the thread. This is always the most nerve-wracking part, isn't it? When you're doing the border and you're praying that when you get across the end and that one comes down and comes across this way, they're going to match up. That is always the most nerve-wracking part, but that's coming up. So yeah, so there's my Chester's Place Whistlestop designs, and I'm stitching it on 14 count, so it's really big. If I was just starting this, I would have probably done it on the 16 or 18 count, but 14 count is what I started it on. And it is, I think it's vintage grey or vintage cloud. I don't know, one of those ones, but it is 14 count, and it's part of the vintage range from DMC. So yeah, really, really, really loving this. So there we go. So that's one, and that one's going to be coming back out to focus on. Another one that'll come out this month to be able to do the one is the Wizard of Oz tree, which is the Wizard of Oz tree Sal. It's the hashtag if you want, you know, if you're doing it and stuff like that. Or, you know, on Instagram, because it's doing that weird thing with the hashtags and stuff, just, you know, tag me, Cat Stitch, so I can have a nosy at your one. Now, I'm doing the Sal with Judy from North Island Stitch, no, an Aussie and a Kiwi World. Sorry, guys. And I also know that Laura, Stitching by the Shore, is doing this one. And a couple of others, so you know, and it's fun, and I've sectioned it off. So but this is where I was. So I just finished the lion, and then now here we are. So I've just started the Good Fairy. So this is October's square, that'll be November, and then December will be the bottom part. And this is getting stitched on a piece that I dyed, and it is 14 count again. That's when I had a lot of 14 count, obviously. Yeah, I still have to get that green that I'm missing. I still haven't got it, but I'm just working around it. It's all right. Hopefully I'll have it before Christmas so I can completely finish it. Otherwise I'm going to be annoyed. Yeah, so really pleased with the progress on that. Okay. Next one is, it's been touched at last for the first time this year. And hopefully now people can recognise the correct word on there rather than coming up with some weird word. So this is All Hearts Come Home at Christmas by Luba, Davies, Atelier. It's been stitched on 14 count Winter Queen by Jodie Redesigns. This is where I was, and yes, that's not, I'm not going to say what it is because otherwise you won't be able to unsee it. And here we are now. So I added the other H, the bar there, and I put the hearts in at last. So it was just over 100 stitches, but it's been touched, and that's what I mean. This is, you know, and now I've actually got a little bit more incentive to actually pull it out because it's not that far from a finish. Next one, and I've decided I'm only going to do one of the witches. This is Trick or Treat by Needlebling Designs, which is this one here. I'm only going to do one of the witches, only because of the size. I mean, I can fit both on here, but I don't want it that big. So I'm just doing the one, and it is being stitched on 14 count maypole ribbons by Jodie Redesigns. And this is where I was, so I had just started it, and I've got it around the right way. So there we are now. Yes, monkey? Oh, okay. So it's always, you know, it's really taxing to me, especially with the way that I am at the moment, is making sure that I count right. And it was touch and go. There was a little bit of, hang on, no, too far that way. So once I get these tentacles done, it'll be quite easy. It's just these tentacles are what holds me back, or the tendrils, or whatever they are. Okay, so next up is Olga's Tart by Plum Street Samplers, which is this one here. I finished Autumn Tart last month, so I want to finish Olga's Tart this month, especially because it's Halloween. And this is where I was. And, you know, the 100 stitches, which was basically one strand, single stranded, nearly got the moon filled in. There we go. And this has been stitched on a piece of 20 count, I think, that I tea coffee dyed. There's my hair on it. It's like, you know, if it's not monkey's hair, it'll be my hair. Yeah. You saying it's not yours? You sure? So there we go. It is a little slower because it's already, you know, for me it's the highest count that I can comfortably do. But how'd you get over there so quick? Okay, the next one is the other cell, and just to use the dangly thread, I didn't realise I'd left it in. But you know, I'm just gonna hang on. Let me just try and get the needle up there so it doesn't get in the way. So this is Halloween Hamlet by Carolyn Manning. I'm doing a sale for this. So if you want to join in, it's just Halloween Hamlet sale. No, Halloween Hamlet 2023. Here we go. And you know, just join in any time. I'm not planning on having this finished until Halloween next year. Okay, so we're not expecting it this month. Last time I had a bit of a counting issue which drove me nuts, which is why it got put down. But I picked it back up again for this, and it's got me back into the groove to, you know, to do it again. So that's where I was, and here we are now. So I've added in another house, started to add it in. Here we go. That's better. And this has been stitched on a piece of 18 count that I jar dyed. Yeah, so I'm happy with that. So that's, I think it was like 160 stitches added to that one. So each of them have had at least 100, except for that Trick or Treat one. It only had about 80 because I just was really struggling. I was struggling to focus. Okay, so next up is another sale that I'm hosting, is Craft Supplies by Puntini. Beautiful design, and I have seen so many people finishing this, and I'm just like, man, you are so slack. But I'll get there. I will have it finished before the end of the year. I just, you know, it's just been really hard for me to focus on any stitching, so it's just a bit at a time, and that's fine. So this is where I was, and with my 100 stitches, here we go. So I added in the gold parts for my 100 stitches. So that's a doable finish for this year. Okay, so this one, another sale. One part I'm hosting, the other part Nicole's hosting. So the Nicole hosting side is the Happy Mood Point sale, and it was started last September. And then the part that I'm hosting is the coffee time sale, which is one of Happy Mood Point's designs, which I started in the Happy Mood Point sale. I know, totally confusing. But to sort of give myself incentive to hurry up and finish the dang thing. Now I'm stitching it on 14 count. Can't remember what it was. It was by Jodie Redesigns, and it's an opal. And I'm using sulky threads. Oh, so this is where I was. I had just done the motifs on the right hand side, on the side after the coffee. And then with my 100, I came in and I started on my beans down the bottom. So this is where we are. So this is another one that has the potential to be finished this year. So again, that's going to get pulled out. I'm going to, keep working on those motifs and get that done. When it comes to picking what colours are going where, just with every motif, I have a look at the selection of sulkies that I'd pulled out at the start, and I just pick. That's it. That's all I do. If you have any questions about any of these, then just please, comment down below or send me a DM or whatever through Instagram. I'm Cat Stitch on Instagram as well. Okay. Next up is Quaternion Creations, I Am the Colour. Now I am going to make a little bit more of a change. I mean, I've changed a lot already, but I'm going to make one more change because I did ask if I should, in regards to the colour of the words. So I do have a little bit of frogging to do to take out some words. So this is where I was. And here we are. So I've started on the other side of the border. So I am going to take out I am the, and I'm going to use that colour instead for the whole lot because it does stand out better, doesn't it? So yeah, so she's going to get pulled out again. I don't know if I'll have her finished this year because this is like one page, there's another page, and then I've got another 2 pages. This might be one of those New Year finishes, I think. But I might, I'm just going to keep plugging away at it. I mean, the biggest part is her dress. There's a lot to it. It's just so beautiful, and I love it. Yeah. So that is Quaternion Creations, I Am the Colour, and it has been stitched on an 18 count piece of fabric that I dyed with onion skins. Next up we have Tudor Ermine by the Blue Flower, which is this one here. Another one that I started really strong and then it just got put away and I just kept on avoiding bringing it out. Well, now I want to bring it out because, it's over half done. So, again, potential to have this finished this year. So this is where I was, and I just brought it down. So I am going to be outlining the ermine because he's not really showing up as well. And it's done on 14 count oatmeal or rustico. It'd be one of the two. And the white just isn't really showing up even when looking at it. So I'm going to do a grey around the outside, just a light grey, just to sort of help it stand out a little bit. So that is Tudor Ermine by the Blue Flower. Then, yeah, I managed to get through a few WIPs in 3 days. It was good. And all of them had at least 100 to, well, apart from Trick or Treat, had at least 100 to 200 stitches on. Actually, a couple of them had over 200 stitches added. But this one is Maple Leaf Maze by Tempting Tangles, and that's what the design looks like. And I'm using a Mose silk that I was given some of to try out, and this is where I was, and I had to do a little bit of frogging. So I'm going to put a little picture of the the start and the frogged point where I restarted. So there we go. Here we are now. So I managed to get, this is where I had an issue. I had miscounted in this area here, so I had to take it out. But I've got it right now, and that sort of stuff. These sorts of ones aren't really the sort of ones that I can safely fudge because of the design, because of the symmetry of it, and how the knots work. So you really do have to get this right. But I'm happy with the progress on that one. Still more to go. Next, we have Happily Ever After by Rebel Stitcher. Excuse the language. That's probably why I love the sampler. Yeah, so this is where I was, and I started, so when I was doing this one, I brought the flowers around a bit more to the end of the page there, and I started the basket for the last motif that's half on that page. So yeah, that was going to happen. And this is on, I know it's on 18 count, and I think it's, I have to have a look. I did try and find my cards, because I do actually have cards, but I put them in a safe place, which you can never find, before I had a chance to put them into their bags. Well, I'd written everything down. But no, it's beautiful, and it's a really lovely design. And, you know, if you don't want to use the naughty word, then, you know, you can put an F and, you know, like little asterisks or something. But it's a beautiful design, and Colleen did an incredible job with this one. Love it. Not one I think I'll finish this year. It just depends on if I finish some of the other big ones as well. But it may be a new year finish. The next one is Honey of a Tiny Town by Heart and Hand. This is where I mean, everyone knows what it looks like, and this is where I was. So I just finished the trees next to the White House, although I hadn't completely finished the White House, and I still haven't quite finished it completely. But this is where I am now. Hang on, trying to get this hold. So here we go. So I added in the blue house, and I finished off the white part of the windows, and I've started adding the white in there. So I had it threaded, and that's why the White House wasn't finished, because I didn't want to thread the thread just for like 6 stitches if I knew it was going to be in the next house. So I thought, nah, we'll wait. So yeah, so it's going to get pulled back out, because I know I can finish this before the end of the year, because I did the Blooming Tiny Town in like, I don't know, 5 days. So I can dang well finish that one this year. How many more have we got? Just a couple more, I think. Yeah, just a couple more. So the next one, it's almost like a WIP parade, isn't it? The next one is Witch's Coffee House by Erin Elizabeth. And again, I started this one, and then I don't know why, I just didn't pick the dang thing back up again. I kept on putting it aside for other ones, and that sort of stuff. And so I sort of thought, oh, you know, so this is another one that has got finished potential. So it's not going to get put back away. It's going to get pulled out again to work on more, instead of getting put back on the shelf. So that's where I was, which was pitiful. And here we are now. So this has been stitched on 14 count Wolf Morite Opal by Jodie Redesigns. There we go. So I finished off the word, I started adding in the other colours, and I brought it down and started, this is all backstitch, so the word coffee is all in backstitch, which we know is my favourite thing to do, not. But yeah, so that's that. And then this one is by Yasmins Made with Love. It is Strawberry Season. It was her first Patreon chart. I did support her for the first month, you know, while I could, and you know, I will probably go back to doing that when I'm in a better position. because, you know, her designs are lovely. So this is where I was, strawberry season. So I just sort of started the word. So I finished the words and started on the first days, the first flower for the strawberry patch. So there we go. And this has been stitched on, what are we on? 14 count. I think it was an unnamed tan one. Yeah, sorry about the dangly thread. Unnamed tan coloured one by Mystic Fabrics that I had in stash. So that's that one. And then the last WIP that I worked on, get this going the right way, was called Wellington by Awesome Pattern Studios, I think it is. If I've got that wrong, I'll just note it down here. So it's a really great design. It's called Wellington. And I'm stitching this for a friend. I was hoping to get it done this year, but I don't think it's going to be. So it's going to be an unbirthday present next year instead of a Christmas present this year. And this is where I was. And I did add a couple of hundred stitches on this one, but it's hard to tell because there we go. Here we are now. So the colour I added was this green. So I've got it there. Oh, I also did those there. And I filled in up here. So there is a lot of colour changes and stuff like that. So I try to do like the whole length of thread. So that's why it's sort of spotted around. But I still really like the design. It's really, really lovely. I know there's going to be a lot of fill-in stuff for me, but that's okay. I'm still undecided about whether I'm going to do all the fill-in for here, which is a white. I'm still undecided whether I just leave it unstitched or fill it in. So there we go. So those are all the WIPs. Those are all the WIPs that I worked on. I did actually have 2 finishes. I thought I only had 1, but when I was having a look at last time's notes, I realised I'd only just started this one, and so that's why I grabbed it this morning, because and why it hasn't been ironed. But this is the one from the Just Cross Stitch Halloween 2023 magazine, Hang Your Broom. And yeah, like I said, I didn't iron it because it wasn't in my bunch to iron last night. But here we go. So hopefully you can read that. Be a lot easier to read if it was ironed, Cat. So that is stitched with sulky threads, and some over-dyeds as well. So that's that finish. And then the other finish, I wasn't sure if I was going to show it. It's my test stitch. It's by Spider X Stitch. I think I've got that right. If not, I'll put it down here. And I finished it early. I mean, it's not a hard design. It's just my focus was just so bad over the weekend. I had a couple of headache days where I wasn't really focusing on anything. So yeah, it took way longer for me than a normal stitch would. Plus, it's also Christmas. It's a Christmas one. Oh no. Oh no. So other than All Hearts Come Home at Christmas, this is the first Christmas thing I've done all year. Managed to avoid it all year, but now here we go. So there's no name for it. That's it. It is a really cool design. It's very sweet. Do you know how hard it was for me not to change any colours? And literally just do the listed DMC. It's stitched on 14 count opal. It's a beautiful design. And it is very fun. It's a lot bigger than I thought it was. There is a lot of stitching in this thing. It's like, I don't know, it's like nearly, I think about 3,700 stitches in this dang thing. And then you've got your back stitch added and that sort of thing, which I think is easier to see in person. Oh, there we go. And then I added the beads on because danged if I was going to do French knots or colonial or anything like that. which I'd already told her I don't do French or colonial knots, I bead. So I added the beads on. But it's a really lovely design, and I was actually surprised that it does work on the white fabric. There's not a heap of backstitch, which is great because I am not a fan of backstitch, but there we go. So that's, oh, and I had a new start on Sunday on the 1st, which is another Puntini. got a few on the go now, which is Happy Halloween. I had to start a Halloween one on the 1st. It was just a, you know, and after doing this WIP Frenzy, I realised how few Halloween ones I've got. Do you know how gutting that is for me? It's like, oh my god. So that's going to be making a change. That's getting changed. I need more Halloween ones, because maybe that's the problem, is I'm not doing enough of my Halloween. I've been so engrossed in trying out all these different sorts of styles and types this year that my Halloween has taken a back seat, and maybe that's what's happened. But I made a small start on Sunday. So this is Happy Halloween by Puntini. And it has been stitched on that lovely piece of country stitch fabric that I got called Grey Wick. It's 18 count. And the reason I started down the bottom here is because I want to try and keep it as compact as possible, because I want to use Grey Wick for other things as well, if I can. So, you know, trying to save fabric. But yeah, really happy to have started that, and that's going to keep on getting brought out every Sunday. Right, so it's all the stitching, and most of it was done this week. That's the only thing I really stitched the week before was Hang Your Broom and the mug. That was it. Last week, you know, the week after I saw you, I really didn't stitch on anything. It was a really bad week for me. But then when I saw Laura's challenge thing, you know, what she was going to try, I sort of thought, oh, you know what? Actually, that's a good challenge. That's an incentive where I'm not having to focus a lot on any particular WIP, which is what the problem was. I just couldn't focus, so I didn't bother. You know, I just sort of thought, well, what's the point? Bring it out for only 100 stitches or a thread. That's why the WIP Frenzy may actually be a good thing, to help me, where it doesn't matter if I'm not focused on anything, or if I'm sort of about doing that particular project. You know, one thread, even if it doesn't hit the 100 stitches, one thread. You know, if that's, you know, make that the challenge. 1 or 2 threads, 100 stitches, 200 stitches, WIP Frenzy. And so I'm going to try and do that at the start of every month, and that way I know that at least all of my WIPs are getting touched for that month, even if I don't pull them out, because a lot of those haven't been pulled out very much all year. Any plans? The only plans I have on the Halloween Facebook page, Halloween Cross Stitch Facebook page, we've got 2 challenges this month. One is the 1000 steps. Now for that one, you can choose any Halloween project, and I've chosen the Happy Halloween. And in week 1, you do at least 100 stitches. Week 2, you do at least 200 stitches. Week 3, you do at least 300 stitches. And week 4, you do 400 stitches. So there's at least 1,000 stitches on that project for the month. Love that idea. I'll probably do more than that, in all honesty. Yeah. So, but you know, that's why I wanted to do that start and get that that challenge up and running. The other challenge, which I've got to get onto today, is the Owl October or Owloween challenge, where you can stitch anything with an owl, OWL, owl. And I sort of thought, right, well, what I want to do is, I've got a bunch of the little hooties, little mini hooties. So this one here is the one I've grabbed, because it is Halloween. So I'm going to do the Halloween ones, but I'm going to do them individually, and they're going to be just little ornaments. And I was thinking of doing them on the perforated paper, which I do have some sheets of, but I don't know yet. But I'm going to get at least one of them done today. So that's my plan, to get one of them done today. And then I'll just keep working away at them, because I've got those ones. I've got the Christmas ones, but I'll probably do a couple of those, and they're only mini, you know, so they're going to be quite small. But there's a lot of stitching in them still. There's still, over the 100 stitches, because that's what the challenge is. You've got to do at least 100 stitches each week on project. So I've got Halloween, I've got Christmas, superhero, space, which is the ones that's got Star Trek and Star Wars characters on. And I think I've got another Halloween one. Oh, and school days. So I've got quite a few to pick from, and I want to do a whole bunch of them because I want to have a little hootie tree, which is why I'm still undecided about whether I am going to do them on perforated paper or I'm going to do them on fabric and then just have them as little flat finishes hanging up or dotted around or ending up in a scrapbook if there's, if I go overboard and do too many. So other than that, I did have another start planned for this month, I think, but I can't remember what. I think it was Lady Halloween by Jardin Privé. I think that was the other one that I was going to be starting this month. I haven't kitted it up yet because it's not going to be starting until later in the month. And yeah, that's pretty much the only things that I've sort of thought of doing. Yeah, so I have been watching a lot of my crime TV over the last couple of weeks, and then this week I was starting to catch up on Flosstube. So I caught up with, I noticed I got an alert this morning. Sarah's Stitching Spot has another new one. I was watching her yesterday, and I watched the Sunshine Stitches, caught up with them. Crisscross Stitch had one, so I had to, of course, watch that one. And Brenda and Laura had a really great one. Magnolia Stitcher, she's put up another one as well. Two Tall Stitches, watched them. The Proper Stitcher, watched that one. Oh, for crying out loud. And she's just new, and I keep on forgetting the name of her channel. I'm so sorry. And then 14 Count Ada Girl, watched her as well. She had some interesting designs that she's working on, and she had some good news as well, so congratulations on that. Yeah, so I mean I have been catching up slowly but surely with the Flosstube, which has been nice. It has, it's in a way it's sort of hard watching Flosstube at the moment because there's so many things I'd love to be able to get, but I'm not really in a position to be able to get them now. So a lot of FOMO going on, but that's life, and I've definitely got enough to work on already. So there we go. So now I'm going to put all these away back into their bags and organise which ones I'm going to pull out again this month to work on, to really plough into, and then all my WIPs will get pulled out again at the beginning of next month. I'm not sure if I'm going to do another one this month. I might be dropping down to once a month, so that it might be at the start of each month. Like after my WIP Frenzy, because I usually I'm going to try and do that in the first few days of the month. Only because it does add a bit more stress, especially when I'm having those times where I'm just not focused on stitching, and I don't want to let anybody down. So I'm not having really any content to show. So and I know that I'm putting it on myself. I totally get that, but it doesn't change the fact that it's there. So yeah, so you might see me at Halloween. You know, at the end of the month, like on Halloween, that might be the next one, or early in November. Okay, so thank you guys so much for stopping by. If you liked what you saw, if you're not already subscribed, please do subscribe, like, you know, share, all the things, thumbs up, whatever. You know, and comment, because that means the world. It does mean the world. Yeah, so from me, Bobby and Monkey, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, make sure that you march to the beat of your own drum, because that's where the magic happens. Take care, everyone. Keep well, keep warm, keep cool, keep safe, and we'll catch up next time. Toodles.